All right, let's jump right into one of the greatest stories ever told, the Mahabharata. But we're not starting with the epic war itself. No, we're going way back to the very beginning, to the bitter family feud that really lit the fuse for the entire conflict, all brought to life through the incredible vision and storytelling of Devdutt Patnaik. Let's get into it.
I mean, it's a question you see all through history. And it's really at the heart of what we're talking about today. How do cousins, people who grew up side by side, end up on a battlefield ready to absolutely destroy each other?
For these princes, it started with a fight over who should be king, but this was so much more than a family squabble over an inheritance. This was a battle for the soul of an entire kingdom, and the first moves in this deadly game, they were shocking.
So where did all this animosity begin? Well, believe it or not, it started out as some good old-fashioned bullying. You've got this one Pandava prince, Bhima, who is just incredibly strong, and he loved to use that strength to, toss his 100 Kaurava cousins around, literally shaking them out of trees like they were fruit. It was playground stuff, but definitely with a mean streak.
But the Kauravas' response, whoa. This is where things escalate from a schoolyard fight straight into a blood feud. They didn't just fight back. They tried to kill him. They tricked him with poisoned food, tied him up, and threw him in a river to drown. This was the first real attempt at murder. A line had been crossed, and there was absolutely no going back.
So, you have to wonder, what was all this really about? Well, at its core, this whole thing was a succession crisis. Let's break down who thought they had the right to the throne of Hastinapuri. Okay, so on one side, you've got Duryodhana, the oldest of the Kaurava brothers. His claim is simple. My dad is the elder brother, so the throne belongs to me. He even starts spreading rumors that the Pandavas aren't legitimate. Then, on the other side, you've got Yudhishthira, the oldest Pandava. His argument? Yeah, but my dad was the one who was actually crowned king, plus I'm the oldest of all of the grandkids. So who's right? The story brilliantly leaves that open to interpretation, which just pours more fuel on the fire. But here's a crazy twist. Bhima doesn't die. He's saved by the Nagas, these mythical serpent people who live in the river. In the stories, they're the guardians of a magical underwater city filled with jewels. But what's so fascinating is the other way to look at it. Anthropologists suggest the Nagas might represent real, historical farming communities that worshipped serpents. It's that amazing blend of myth and possible history that makes this epic so compelling. So Bhima's survival just made the Kauravas even angrier. Their hatred festered, and their next plot, well, it was way more elaborate and way more evil. It all started with what looked like a beautiful gift, but was actually a death trap. The Kauravas, pretending to be friendly, offered their cousins this incredible palace in a new town, but the whole thing was a setup. The palace was secretly built from lac, a super flammable resin, and stuffed with other things that would go up in flames in a second. The plan was simple: get the Pandavas inside and burn the whole thing to the ground. But the Pandavas had a guardian angel. Their uncle, Vidura, was horrified by the plot and sent them a secret warning. He even had a tunnel built underneath the palace for them. So when the trap was finally sprung and the whole place went up in a blaze, the Pandavas and their mother, Kunti, were already gone, slipping away into the forest. And back in the capital, the Kauravas put on a big show, crying fake tears and pretending to mourn, completely convinced their rivals were dead. So with the entire world believing they were dead, the Pandavas were forced to go off the grid. This kicked off a whole new chapter in their lives, wandering through the wilderness, facing all kinds of new dangers. They disguised themselves as poor, wandering priests to stay hidden. And this image just captures their struggle and their bond so perfectly. When his mother and brothers got too tired to go on, Bhima, always the protector, would just hoist the entire family onto his back and carry them. It says so much, not just about his strength, but about his fierce devotion. But even in exile, they couldn't run from who they were, from their dharma, their sacred duty. In one village, they hear about a man-eating monster, a Rakshasa named Baka, who is terrorizing everyone. Bhima immediately volunteers to deal with him, and this quote gets right to the heart of why. He wasn't doing it for glory or for a reward. He did it because it's the fundamental job of a warrior to protect the helpless. So he killed Baka, saved the village, and reminded himself of his true purpose. While in the forest, Bhima also found a wife, a Rakshasa woman named Hidimbi. But this was a forest alliance, and their mother Kunti feared it would be a distraction. So he was forced to leave her and their son behind.
Now, when you contrast that abandoned wife with the royal princess, Draupadi, who the brothers will soon win as a prize, it really makes you think, doesn't it? It raises all these questions about social class, destiny, and the women who shape the journeys of these heroes.
Now, you can imagine the Pandavas were just simmering with rage towards their cousins. But then, they have this incredible encounter with a Gandharva, a celestial being, who shares a powerful story with them, a story with a crucial lesson.
The Gandharva tells him this story that spans generations, all about the consequences of anger. It starts with a sage named Shaktri, whose rage gets him killed. Then his son, Parshara, vows to get bloody revenge. But the wise grandfather, Vasishtha, steps in and stops him. And here's the lesson. Revenge accomplishes nothing. It just creates a spiral of vendetta. It was a direct message to the Pandavas. Let go of your anger, or it will absolutely consume you.
So, taking that advice to heart, to forget revenge and forge a new destiny, the brothers traveled to the kingdom of Panchala. There, they hear about a huge archery contest for the hand of the Princess Draupadi. They see this as their chance, their one shot to finally step back into the world. And what a challenge it was! The task was basically an impossible feat of archery. A suitor had to string this massive, heavy bow, and then, looking only at the reflection of a spinning fish in a pool of oil below, shoot an arrow right through its eye. This was a test designed for only the greatest archer alive. The greatest kings and warriors from all over came to try, and one by one, they all failed, spectacularly. I mean, most guys couldn't even lift the bow. Others stumbled and fell right into the oil. The few who actually managed to get a shot off missed by a mile. It really seemed like no one could do it. Then, a really dramatic moment. The legendary archer Karna steps forward. He's a friend of the Kauravas, and everyone knows he probably has the skill to win. But Draupadi herself stops him cold. With these words, she publicly humiliates him, rejecting him purely based on his social status. She uses her power to disqualify him right there in front of everyone.
With all the great warriors defeated, this quiet Brahmin nobody knows steps out of the crowd. People are probably whispering, but he just walks up, effortlessly strings the bow, aims at the reflection, and thwack! A single, perfect shot right through the fish's eye. The entire court is stunned. Of course, this is no ordinary priest. It's Arjuna, the third Pandava brother, announcing to the entire world that they are very much alive. The Pandavas have won a huge prize and a powerful new ally, but their return home leads to a bizarre, fateful twist that will bind them all together, forever. So when Arjuna gets home, he shouts out to his mother, "Look what I won!" And Kunti, without even turning to look, gives her usual reply, "Whatever it is, share it equally." When she realizes his prize is a woman, she's horrified. But a mother's word is an unbreakable command. Fearing that one woman could create jealousy and divide her sons, she stands by her accidental order. And so, in a shocking turn of events, Draupadi becomes the common wife of all 5 Pandava brothers. And right at this bizarre, momentous turning point, as this unique marriage is being decided, a charismatic stranger walks in. It's their cousin, Krishna. And his arrival is no coincidence. He is a divine player in this cosmic game, and his entrance signals that the stakes are about to get infinitely higher. So the Pandavas are back from the dead. They've secured a powerful wife and a new divine ally. They finally seem to have the strength to reclaim what's theirs. But here's the real question. Is this the start of their journey to justice? Or have all these events, the poison, the fire, the exile, and now this prize, simply paved the inevitable road to war? The epic is really just getting started.